When a woman is in a heightened state of desire, the first signs rarely come from her words. They come from her energy, her body, and the subtle ways she carries herself. Many men make the mistake of looking only for verbal confirmation, waiting for her to announce her interest outright. But attraction doesn't always declare itself in language. It leaks out in movement, posture, and expression. Her body becomes a messenger for her desire long before her voice ever speaks it. Think about eye contact. When a woman is stirred by desire, her gaze changes. She might hold it longer than usual, her eyes softening or glistening in ways that reveal a kind of vulnerability mixed with intensity. Or, paradoxically, she might glance away quickly, almost shyly, but then return her eyes to you again and again, as though pulled by an invisible thread. The eyes become windows not just to the soul, but to the unspoken stirrings of her body. It's not only the eyes. Pay attention to how she moves. Desire often expresses itself through restlessness. Small adjustments, shifting in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her legs, playing with her jewelry or her hair. These movements are not always conscious. In fact, most of the time, she herself is unaware of them. But they reveal a heightened state of awareness within her body. Her energy is restless because something inside her is awake. From a psychological perspective, this makes sense. When arousal rises, the nervous system becomes activated and the body seeks outlets. That's why women may fidget, lean forward, or laugh more freely in the presence of someone they're attracted to. Their physicality becomes more animated because their inner state is alive with tension and anticipation. This isn't just biology, it's communication. And the man who learns to read these cues with sensitivity can perceive desire without her having to put it into words. Philosophically, you could say this is the dance between the conscious and the unconscious. Consciously, she may be trying to maintain composure to keep things ordinary. But unconsciously, her body betrays her deeper reality. It reveals the hidden dialogue taking place between her instincts and her reason. And this duality is part of the mystery of attraction. It is never purely logical. It speaks in symbols, in gestures, in micro expressions that slip past the walls we try to build. Now, this is where wisdom is required, because while her body language may signal desire, it is not a license for assumption or entitlement. The point is not to treat her movements as guarantees, but to treat them as insights, clues that help you understand her energy and respond with awareness rather than ignorance. Many men either overlook these cues completely, missing opportunities for deeper connection, or they misinterpret them and act with arrogance. The right balance is to notice, to honor, and to engage with respect. And what's striking is that when a woman is in this state, her energy doesn't only affect her, it changes the entire atmosphere. You can feel it. The room seems charged. Her laughter feels warmer, her presence more magnetic. Even if she hasn't touched you, her nearness feels like touch itself. This is what happens when her body becomes the vessel of her desire. It doesn't just change her, it changes the environment you share. This ultimately is why younger women, older women, any woman reveals so much through body language when she's in that heightened state, because the body doesn't lie. It may be subtle, it may be fleeting, but it is always there, signaling truths that words cannot carry. So, what does this mean for you? It means learning to slow down and observe. Don't just listen to what she says. Watch how she says it. Notice the rhythm of her breathing, the way she positions herself when you're near, the shifts in her tone when she speaks, because these small details carry big messages. And here's the reflection I want you to take with desire. Isn't always shouted. Sometimes it's whispered through body language. If you learn to pay attention, you will see what others overlook. You will realize that attraction speaks long before it is confessed. And once you see it, you'll understand a powerful truth. The body reveals what the heart tries to hide. When a woman is in that heightened state of desire, one of the clearest things she does, often without even realizing it, is find ways to be physically closer to the man who stirs those feelings within her. Proximity becomes more than coincidence. It becomes strategy, though usually an unconscious one. She doesn't necessarily come right out and say, "I want to be near you." Instead, she orchestrates moments where closeness feels natural, where touch becomes almost inevitable, and where her presence can be felt in a deeper way. Think about the small, everyday interactions. She might choose the seat next to you when there are plenty of others available. She may lean into your space when she talks, her shoulder brushing yours or her hand resting close enough for yours to touch without effort. Sometimes it looks playful, like bumping you during a laugh or tugging lightly at your sleeve to get your attention. Other times, it's far more subtle. Her steps aligning with yours when you walk, her body angled toward you even in a crowded room. These things may look like nothing on the surface, but underneath, they are powerful indicators. From a psychological standpoint, this behavior makes sense. Human beings are wired to seek closeness when desire is present. It's part of our biology. Physical proximity increases the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone which heightens the sense of connection. For a woman experiencing attraction, being near you isn't just about satisfying curiosity. It's about amplifying the emotional and physical energy between you. Her body craves not only touch, but the possibility of touch. And being close creates that possibility. But there's also something philosophical happening here. Proximity is a way of breaking down barriers, both literal and symbolic. When someone moves closer, they are saying, without words, I trust you enough to enter my space. It's an act of intimacy long before intimacy has physically happened. It's her body's way of lowering the distance that society and caution usually keep intact. And in that act, she is signaling readiness, not necessarily for immediate action, but for deeper connection, for vulnerability, for the possibility of something more. Now, here is where many men fail to see the difference between opportunity and obligation. Just because she moves closer doesn't mean she has given you full access. Closeness is an invitation to awareness, not a guarantee of consent. What separates a man of wisdom from a man of recklessness is his ability to notice proximity without exploiting it. To recognize that her movement toward him is a gesture of trust that must be honored, not taken for granted. When you handle these moments with respect, the effect is profound. A woman feels not only safe in your presence, but also validated in her desire. She realizes she can let her guard down further without fear of being misunderstood or taken advantage of. And this, in turn, deepens the attraction. Because attraction doesn't thrive in forcefulness. It thrives in safety, in subtlety, in the shared recognition of energy without the need for pressure. Think about how powerful this is. She may never voice her desire directly, but by leaning in, by brushing her hand against yours, by sitting close enough for you to feel her warmth, she is speaking volumes. And the man who learns to interpret that language without rushing, without assuming, becomes unforgettable. He is the one who notices the unsaid, who honors the invisible dance between energy and presence. And the truth is, this dance is ancient. From the beginning of human interaction, proximity has been the bridge between thought and action, between desire and fulfillment. To draw close to someone is to collapse the distance between two worlds. It's not just about the body, it's about spirit, trust, and the courage to invite another into your space. So when you see this happening, don't dismiss it as chance. Don't overlook it. Recognize it for what it is, her body's way of saying, I feel drawn to you. Recognize that she is testing in subtle ways how you will respond. Will you notice? Will you respect it? Will you meet her nearness with presence rather than presumption? Because here is the simple truth: closeness is never random. It is chosen. And when a woman chooses to be near you in moments where she doesn't have to, that choice is filled with meaning. Remember this: when she finds reasons to move closer, it isn't just her body that is speaking. It is her desire, her trust, and her vulnerability reaching out. And the man who sees it, truly sees it, has already been given access to a part of her world that most will miss. The body doesn't wander without intention. When she draws near, it is always for a reason. When a woman is in that state of heightened desire, it doesn't just show up in her body language or her proximity. It also slips into her words, into the rhythm of her conversation, and into the subtle choices she makes in how she communicates. Desire has a way of reshaping dialogue. What once might have been ordinary small talk suddenly carries undertones, suggestions, and playful energy that didn't exist before. And if you're paying attention, you'll notice that her words are no longer just about the topic at hand. They're about something deeper. One of the first signs is playfulness. A woman who feels that inner stirring may tease you more, challenge you lightly, or find humor in things that seem otherwise ordinary. Teasing is not just a form of amusement. It's a way of creating tension, a subtle test, and an invitation. When she laughs at your remarks or finds reasons to laugh at her own, what she is often doing is signaling her openness to a more intimate exchange. Laughter, after all, is one of the fastest ways to break down barriers. In moments of attraction, it becomes the bridge between comfort and chemistry. But beyond playfulness, her language can take on a more suggestive tone. She might use double meanings, innuendos, or metaphors that invite you to read between the lines. What she says may seem innocent on the surface, but the undertone carries weight. It's her way of testing the waters. Will you pick up on this? Will you understand what I'm really saying without me having to spell it out? It's not about being crude or explicit. It's about layering the conversation with subtext that builds intrigue. Psychologically, this makes sense. When arousal rises, the conscious mind often looks for safe outlets to express what the unconscious is feeling. Words become that outlet. Suggestive or playful remarks allow her to release some of that energy without exposing herself too directly. It's both a form of protection and an act of expression. She is signaling attraction, but she's doing it in a way that allows her to gauge your awareness, your reaction, and your sensitivity. And here's where men often misinterpret. Some think that suggestive talk is an open door to push aggressively. Others miss it completely and treat it as casual banter. The truth lies somewhere in between. When her language becomes layered with play, when her jokes carry that subtle edge, what she is asking for is recognition, not exploitation. She wants to know that you can catch the hidden meaning without turning the moment into something heavy or uncomfortable. It's a dance of subtlety, and only men who are present and attentive can truly engage in it. Philosophically, this is fascinating. Words are often seen as tools for information, but in moments of desire, they become tools for connection. What she's really doing is weaving a conversation that operates on two levels, the obvious and the hidden. The obvious is the topic itself. The hidden is the energy she is embedding within it. To listen only to the surface is to miss the essence. To catch both layers is to step into the deeper reality she is offering. And when you respond, not by being crude, but by playing along, matching her energy, and showing that you understand, you create resonance. This resonance deepens attraction because it shows her that you are not just physically present, but mentally and emotionally attuned. You've proven that you can engage with her not just at face value, but at the level of nuance. That is rare, and rarity is what makes a connection unforgettable. Notice also how her conversations may become more personal. She may start sharing details she wouldn't normally, asking questions that reveal curiosity about who you are beyond the surface. That openness is a form of vulnerability, and when it's paired with playfulness or suggestion, it means she is lowering her guard. She is inviting you into her inner world bit by bit through the safe gateway of conversation. This is why words matter so much in moments of attraction. They are not filler. They are the bridge. They carry energy, they signal intent, and they invite deeper exploration. The man who listens only to words as words misses the reality beneath them. But the man who hears tone, subtext, rhythm, and play, he sees the full picture. He recognizes that desire doesn't always declare itself directly. Sometimes it hides in a joke, a question, or a playful tease. So the next time you find yourself in one of those conversations where laughter seems to flow effortlessly, where her comments feel charged with double meaning, where her questions feel just a little more intimate, pause and recognize what's happening. She isn't just talking, she's signaling. She's weaving attraction into her words, waiting to see if you'll notice. And here's the truth worth remembering. Desire rarely speaks in a straight line. It speaks in curves, in layers, in playful detours. If you learn to hear the unspoken within the spoken, you'll not only understand her attraction, you'll honor it, nurture it, and leave an impression she won't forget, because the deepest connections aren't built on words alone. They're built on the meaning carried between the words. When a woman feels sexually drawn to a man, one of the strongest indicators doesn't come from her body language or her playful words. It comes from her willingness to let him into her inner world emotionally. Desire and intimacy are not purely physical, they are layered, and for many women, Emotional safety is the key that unlocks physical expression. Before she can truly give herself, she must first feel that she is seen, understood, and valued. Notice how her conversations shift when this happens. Suddenly, the walls come down. Instead of light surface level dialogue, she begins to reveal her vulnerabilities. She shares her fears, her hopes, her insecurities, even the stories she doesn't tell everyone else. This isn't random, it's a deliberate act of trust. She is saying, in essence, I want you to know me, not just see me. And this act of opening up is one of the clearest signs of attraction, because vulnerability is never given where desire is absent. From a psychological perspective, this is profound. Emotional intimacy activates the same bonding mechanisms that physical intimacy does. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her nervous system relaxes. The guardness that protects her in the outside world melts away. In its place, she becomes receptive not only to emotional closeness, but to physical closeness as well. The mind and the body are deeply connected. When the mind feels secure, the body feels free to express itself. But this openness is not just about safety. It's also about testing alignment. By sharing parts of herself, she is watching how you respond. Do you listen with presence, or do you dismiss her words? Do you handle her vulnerability with care, or do you weaponize it? In those moments, she is silently evaluating whether you are a man she can truly let in, not just emotionally, but physically. Because for her, the two are inseparable. Philosophically, you could say this is the essence of feminine energy. Feminine openness is not about exposure for the sake of it. It is about deep connection. It is about creating a space where intimacy becomes a meeting of souls, not just a meeting of bodies. When she reveals herself, she is not simply providing information, she is offering access. Access to her mind, her emotions, and eventually her body. And the man who understands this treats it with reverence. Unfortunately, many men overlook the significance of this stage. They hear her emotional openness and rush past it, seeing it only as a prelude rather than as part of the intimacy itself. But the truth is, for her, the emotional sharing is already an intimate act. It is foreplay of the heart and mind. And when a man slows down to appreciate it, to meet her openness with his own attentiveness, he creates a bond that makes the physical connection far richer. Think about it, anyone can spark a fleeting moment of attraction, but lasting intimacy, the kind she remembers and values, comes from making her feel that she is more than just her body. When she feels you care for her inner world, when she senses that you honor her vulnerability, she doesn't just give herself physically, she gives herself fully. That is the difference between a temporary encounter and a memorable connection. And here is where the true power lies. When a woman opens emotionally, she is not only expressing desire, she is extending an invitation. She is saying, you can come closer, not just to my body, but to me. And if you meet that invitation with presence, patience, and respect, you become unforgettable in her eyes. Because very few men know how to engage a woman at this level. Very few understand that emotional intimacy is not separate from physical intimacy. It is the foundation of it. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you want to understand when a woman is truly attracted, pay attention to how much of herself she shares with you. If she goes beyond the surface, if she reveals her softer side, her fears, her secrets, her dreams, then you are no longer in casual territory. You are standing at the threshold of her intimacy, and how you respond in that moment will determine whether the door opens wider or closes again. Remember this, physical attraction without emotional openness is shallow and fleeting. But when she trusts you enough to open her heart, her body follows willingly, naturally, and completely. That is the difference between an encounter she forgets and a connection she cherishes. And the truth worth holding on to is simple. When she gives you her vulnerability, she is giving you the deepest form of access. Handle it with wisdom, and you will not only win her desire, you will earn her trust. Because in the end, the greatest intimacy is not just found in bodies meeting, but in souls being seen.